The Jaguar XF Sportbrake, the new generation of the XF, now also as an estate or Kombi, as we say in Germany. A static review here, exterior and interior on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on this vehicle. Join us for this tour in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Let us start here in the front. We got the sporty trim here with the S, or you can also go with this with the R Sport trim, for example, to have this sporty look. We got the optional LED headlights here, very slim. The front is generally the same as in the sedan version for the Sportbrake, with the Jaguar Growler in the front, a really prominent front grille, always a very sensual design, but still rather clean. And by the way, when you hear in the background this roaring sound from old racing machines, we're at the Oldtimer Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. This is where Jaguar always has a big booth as well. And for example, this year also presenting the new XF Sportbrake and of course racing action in the background. 4.95 meters or 16.2 is the total length of this vehicle. It's the same than with sedan. Well, of course, if you compare it to the predecessor generation, especially the wheelbase has been lengthened to get more space in the interior. There's also this all-new aluminum architecture on the inside. This was, a big difference than before because the XF in the previous generation was based on a steel chassis, which was way heavier. Here now, just below 1,700 kilograms. So this is, considering this upper mid-size segment vehicle, relatively light. It starts with 17-inch alloys. Those ones here are the optional 20-inch rims, really big. You don't have to go all the way. You can also just say, for example, with 18 or 19-inch. That would also do fine and still looks good and is maybe a good compromise of the riding comfort and the size and the visual part. Here again, if you go for S or R Sport trim, you can have black frames around the windows and the sporty trim. But there are also more elegant trims available if you have chrome than here, depending on the style you prefer. The main idea of the design of Ian Callum, the Jaguar chief designer, is also to keep it rather simple, just with one design line here just above the door handles, keeping it rather clean in design. And that's what's making this estate also, I think, one of the most beautiful on the market. This is also a vehicle especially thought for Germany and the UK, because those ones are big estate markets. And it was, in question before if they really do it. And yes, they did it now. So especially those two countries have this estate or Kombi version now right again to have a more versatile Jaguar besides the F-Pace, which is also offering a hatch now in the Jaguar model lineup. So what do you think about the design of the new XF Sportbrake, guys? Put it in the comments. And finally, the rear, also with a simplistic design. You see, you don't lose too much of this rear hatch for the design purposes. Then also this wing right there, actually pretty strong for an estate, for sure. The only thing that disturbs me a little bit is this horizontal black fin that goes through the taillights. I'm not sure if there could have been a better solution for that one. Other than that, still E-Type inspired rear lights, also for an estate. Who would have thought that this actually went this direction, when you thought about the taillight design of the E-Type that once ends up in an estate Jaguar. Really interesting for sure. What also is interesting to talk about this rear part of the vehicle, well, with the estate here, with the XF Sportbrake, you will have the rear air suspension as standard. You can compare it, for example, it's the same with the BMW 5 Series. And since it's the new Sportbrake, let's start with the hatch. The key here, by the way, this is also the so-called activity key, where you can leave the normal key inside the vehicle and go surfing or mountain biking, and then just take this one as a key. So, and it's an electric hatch here, we can open it. It actually goes quite fast, you don't have to wait too long, that's okay. Then of course, one of the most versatile Jaguar you can find. This one here is an additional floor mat. It would fit even better if you would remove those. So you can either have those ones fitted, you know, to install something like, you know, with tension belts. And you know, if you want to have this optional rubber mat all flat, I think it's a very nice rubber mat design for sure. And you know, when you put those ones out, then it would be all flat. I think a very interesting idea. 12-volt power supply, some hangers right there. And then you can also flip the seats from here. Here we go. And you can also do it at the left side. And here we go. And then we have the full compartment available. Really even loading surface. I like that. Very well usable. So let's open it up. Here we go. First of all, door closing sound. Sounds solid, doesn't it? Then inside of the doors. See, the top part is also softened up. Here just a little bit. Then very seamless design. Here also with this wood style, but in a modern way. Optional meridian surround system. Then we have the memory function for the electric seats. The inside pocket here is rather small. Does not really fit for bigger bottles. Then let's take a look on the inside. This one here is the S trim. What I would really recommend is either the pure trim, the entry trim. It's not available in every market though, so the steering wheel will most of the time be the same, but the seats will be different. In the pure trim you start with fabric, and the interesting is it's available in black and in beige. That's really great. Also when you have the R Sport trim, there will be fabric on the inside, and then animal skin on the outside, but at least fabric on the inside. And those ones here, optional full animal skin package, which you don't really need. Also is more, you know, you pay more money, of course. Overall, a sporty design. Also here with the beautiful entry caps. And let's take a seat here. So, of course, it's basically the same seat that we have in the normal XF sedan. Electric seat control here. Let's move it a little bit forward. Let's move it also down. As you know, I'm not a very small driver, so let's take a look also what about the headroom. Electric lumbar support is also available. And when I sit here, well, there's the panoramic roof installed, and I'm 1m86 or 6'1", and that leaves a little bit of room in front of my over my head, so it's not too much headroom here though. So now the seat's all the way down. Yeah. And if you're taller than me, then you should leave out the panoramic roof. Then you have a little bit more flexibility in this case. So then the steering wheel control is also electric. Let's see. Let's turn on the car. Ignition here. You can move the steering wheel up and down and towards you. Here you can also get those digital instruments. Those ones are optional. Do not have to get them. This is in the highest trim when you can get those, but very visible, clear visibility, that's for sure. Interior build quality, it makes a good impression, and they've worked over that over the last model years. The only thing I don't like too much are those buttons at the steering wheel. They've been improved now a little bit, but still, I mean, it's the same with the Volvo. I don't like the buttons on the steering wheel there either. But what I like most is the option that you can get here for the heated steering wheel. I really love to have that. Here, for example, with leatherette covers on the dashboard, that is a good idea. Also with contrast stitches, that looks really great. And you don't have to use plastic, you don't have to use animal skin. Leatherette is a fine choice here for the dashboard. Then this river hoop, so-called, is a yacht design, so from expensive boats, where it spans all the way around the interior, inspired also by the Jaguar XJ, the luxury sedan. So, cockpit overview, and I'll turn on the engine, that we also got some power for the screen here as the battery is a little bit low. So there it is, Jaguar logo right there. And the cockpit over, you see the horizontal stress, especially with the contour stitches. Then here with the comp structure, you can really feel that. Very interesting. And then this has also been reworked, by the way. This is also in a soft touch. So I really like what they've done with the interior build quality. With the very first XF and XE models, we saw some flaws, but they have really improved it over the last years and months now. And so a lot of different details have been reworked and are really better now. 10-inch screen, this is the biggest one you can get. There are two sizes actually. This one then, as a display car, the biggest one. Some more details to that. In general, it's all about the touch screen, so you can have the different apps in there. Temperature control, nice clicking sound. Right there in the lower part. Then you also can adjust the vents and stuff. And also the surfaces here, they feel very well. So if you compare it, for example, to the BMW 5 Series, well, maybe the all-new 5 Series is a little bit better in some of the materials and stuff, but it comes close now. The only real button to turn is really for the volume that's left, but you could also do it at the steering wheel. And very interesting area is also with the Jaguar drive selector that comes up and down depending on if the car is running or not. So more deals to that. Now the GPS a little bit closer. You can have the temperature switch here. So when you want to switch that, you can go with the screen, or you can also access it then with the hotkey in the lower part. Also, for example, if you want to go for the seat heating here in 3 levels, for example. Here always back to the home screen. Your phone you can either connect via Bluetooth, or you can also use the in-control apps from Jaguar. There's a separate video about that also available here on Autogefühl. There's another, this in-control apps, and you can also plug in your phone. But it's not with the very well-known standards like CarPlay or Android Auto. Then there are no maps installed here right now in this demo car, but we've shown you the GPS quite a lot of times already. In general, it's interesting to have this widescreen format, and meanwhile this infotainment system actually offers you everything you need. You can also adjust the ambient lighting here, very nice function. So here around the Jaguar drive selector you can also see how the different colors affect it. And when I turn off the vehicle, you can see that the drive selector also goes in again, has then here an even surface. Very well done also, this matte wood design, you can feel it, it looks and feels very natural. Again, something that has been improved right there. Then behind that is to switch the driving modes, for example, more to race, to sport, to have the automatic shift up later and shift down earlier at lower speeds then, or eco if you want to let the car roll more, want to save some fuel. Then there's the panoramic roof, and there's a new function. Here, wow, a gesture control. Did you see that? I just waved with my hand, and then I can unleash this panoramic roof. So very interesting function, and really goes all the way back to the whole vehicle. The only thing is, you could also theoretically just do it like here with the knobs, but it actually does not open. It is a panoramic roof that serves as a panoramic roof, but it cannot be opened. Now we can also move it back again. So I think this is, a thing where a gesture control really comes handy for a driver. Some more details. High floor mats, also nice detail. Then the glove box slides down smoothly. Well, average space, also with a good closing mechanism. Then this rest of the lower middle console here, electric handbrake, and for the beverage holders, they are somewhat adaptive. And do you remember that I criticized in one of the very early vehicles reviews that this one here was rather loose? You could shake it to the left and the right. Now it's really fixedly attached, this cover with leatherette. So they have fixed those stuff as well. And then here you can have 2 USB ports, for example, for the smartphone connection or just for charging, and then a 12-volt power supply, and also for the SIM card. So again, I think it's good that they paid attention now to those minor details we criticized earlier. So it's really good that they actually, saw what was wrong in the detail of the processing and really fixed it. Nice. And let's get in the rear compartment. The door opens quite wide. That is handy to get in. And yeah, I think that's also a difference to the previous generation. We gained in knee room, again, considering my size. And this is also really a good result if you compare it to other competitors in this segment. I mean, it's in the upper mid-size segment. If you take a look at the length of the vehicles, they are also vehicles that are way short and have the same legroom. So the segment itself is not best in using the package. But if you compare the competitors, this is basically standard. Headroom in the rear is also fine for me. If you're taller than 119 meters or taller than 6'2", it might get a problem. Then again, you could theoretically leave out the panoramic roof to gain a little bit more in the headroom. The seating position here is a little bit leaning backwards, like in the classic sedan. Of course, you have the advantage that the roof does not fall down like in the sedan. And then you also have a little bit more headroom here, especially when you're leaning backwards a little bit. I've shown you how to flip the seats from the rear. You can also do it from here with this button in a 2/3, 1/3 split. So this is also possible. Top tether on 1, 2, 3 top tethers here for child seats, and on the outer seats we also have ISOFIX anchor points for child seats, and then there's also this big middle tunnel this here. Here you can also have some beverage holders and a middle armrest. Didn't move the passenger seat in the front, that's a problem. And also for more comfort luxury feature here in the rear, you also have seat heating optional for the rear passengers. And a special gimmick here installed in the middle seat now, you can also really secure it with a seat belt, is an optional fridge. Small fridge, you can pop it up, and well, you get the power here with the cable for the 12-volt power supply, and then you can put your, I don't know, Jaguar champagne in there or whatever. So very interesting feature. I'm not sure if I would really need it, but it is at least available. So what about engines? Here we go. Nice design here. So basically you have 4-cylinder engines and 6-cylinder engines. The 4-cylinder, diesel and petrol. We start with a diesel 4-cylinder engine, 2-liter displacement, 160 horsepower, 180 horsepower. The 180 is also available with all-wheel drive, and 240 horsepower. Then the R4 4-cylinder 2-liter of displacement petrol, 250 horsepower. Probably in Germany or UK the engine I would go for. Those new engines can also be driven with low consumption if you drive slowly. We have tested that recently also with the XE, but if you really push them, they consume a lot. Then also 3-liter displacement diesel with 300 horsepower, 6-cylinder, and finally the top engine 3-liter displacement 6-cylinder V6, the supercharged one, 380 horsepower, always with all-wheel drive. However, this one only available in the US, China and Middle East. And now to our conclusion with the new Jaguar XF Sportbrake. For sure, a very sensual estate from the exterior, like the previous generation. Maybe a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more modern even in the execution. Although it's a little bit bigger, it doesn't appear to be bigger. The interior, now they have worked on the interior finish, and we've seen a lot of different elements which have been improved. So overall, as I must say, I'm really satisfied now with the interior build quality, and there are also anti-trim levels, at least for most markets. In the US, for example, you don't have too many choices. That's too bad. But for example, in Germany especially, and in the UK, you have a lot of interior choices, also sustainable ones now finally. The room that's offered is also good, so the versatility is given. You can compare it with other vehicles in this segment. And of course, engines will be mainly about those 4-cylinder petrol engines. I think those ones are the ones that are most important right now with this vehicle. And now I want to hear your opinion on the aspects we have covered, and also tune us next time. And of course, when we drive this very vehicle. Thanks for watching Autogefühl.